All right, everyone, we have a return to normalcy. Link in the description, archived, of course. You can check that out for yourself. Donald Trump is not perfect. There are some things that he's done that I'm not a particular fan of, just to be clear. That being said, he is a return to the old norm, which was something that those of us from the 90s kind of remember. That is, that the Bush-Obama and certainly Joe Biden regime, and it is a regime, let's face it, have engaged in were not the sort of things that we were doing in the post-Cold War period. That is, that their particular presidencies were hallmarked by several things. Number one, lots of war, invading other countries and, fucking around with them. Number two, a lax border policy. That is the abandonment of the US border. And number three, of course, diplomatic dysfunction in the general sense. You see Syria, the Arab Spring, so-called, and so forth. The Trump administration in the first term generally did a good job. It wasn't perfect, but it was definitely better than what we had before. So far in the second term, within the first 100 days, the Trump administration has done markedly better. I think that this is partially because Donald Trump has surrounded himself with the best and brightest, as opposed to trying to appease the neocons, the neolibs, and so forth. I think that he believed, because he had no political experience, I think that he believed initially that if he simply had, people aboard like Bolton and so forth that were part of the Uniparty, that he could appease them and they would work with him more easily. Having recognized the failure of this basic strategy, as he apparently has, he has now surrounded himself, generally speaking, with people like Stefanik, with Gabbard, and so forth, people that are more insiders, so to speak. The only exception really is Marco Rubio, and Rubio's not necessarily a fan of the Uniparty either. He's Secretary of State, of course. And so he's surrounded himself with people who are generally more markedly capable of doing their job, more markedly capable of actually having loyalty. And so he's done that. He appears to have learned his lesson from his first term, which is good. That's a good thing. It's a, a big problem when you have a bunch of, Boltons and so forth on your cabinet. It's going to be a little bit of a problem if you're trying to have an America First policy. And so he has learned from that. I think that we've returned to normalcy. What people think is abnormal is actually the old norm. The United States back in the 1990s, for example, was definitely an America First sort of thing. The whole idea was, hey, we're going to take care of our country. And there are these commies over there, and we've got to do something about them. And that was the norm. I was born, for example, before the end of the Cold War, before the wall fell and so forth. That was, late 80s, and so I was born in 1988. That was the old norm. The concept was that the U.S. government should represent the interests of the U.S. people. That was the whole goal. Unfortunately, we've gotten off that track. We've gotten to the point where now the U.S. government mainly represents foreign interests. That's not what we were incepted to be. That's not the goal of the United States. The goal of the United States was to represent the wishes and needs of the U.S. people. It's fairly straightforward. Every other country in the entire goddamn world does the same thing. China represents the interests of the Chinese people. Russia represents the interests of the Russian people. Britain, France, Hungary, all of these other countries, Spain, Brazil, they all represent the interests of their own population. Now, it's not a perfect system. In some cases, you have authoritarianism, you have all sorts of other problems. Generally speaking, though, the basic goal is to represent the interests of the people of that country. Only in the United States, and singularly in the United States, only here do we have a country that is so multilateral that it doesn't really give a shit about its own population. The American people, they can fuck themselves. That's basically what the US government says from time to time. Um, Donald Trump represents a regression back to the old norm where the United States government actually gives a damn about its own people. Is it perfect? No, absolutely not. Do I agree with everything that Donald Trump is doing? No, I don't. Do I believe that he genuinely gives a crap? Yes, I do. I believe that he cares about the US people and is trying to represent them in some meaningful capacity. It will not be perfect, and it will be messy at times. Unfortunately, we've got so many screwed up problems as a country, it's going to take a little while to actually solve all the problems that we have. That being said, at the very least, an attempt is being made. And so I can congratulate him on that. Again, link in the description. You can read that at your leisure. We are effectively returning to normal. People think it abnormal because it's been, what, 20, 30 years since we've had that sort of leadership capacity? About 30, I believe. It's been a while. It's been a while since somebody actually gave a damn about the country and ruled in an executive capacity and was actually capable of making executive orders, vetoing bills, and so forth. It's been a while. What did we suffer under beforehand? We had a brief period with Trump before. In the interim, you have Biden. He was completely out to lunch. Before that, what do you have? You have 4 terms of Bush-Obama. And then you have Herbert Walker before that. So 20 years of complete dysfunction within DC at the executive capacity. Yeah, I mean, it stings a little bit. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then you look at the legislature, who was running the legislature at the time. Um, uh, I don't even want to talk about that John Boehner. Yeah, he did a great job. Wonderful man. He broke down in tears on a regular basis and was frequently remarking on all of the alcohol that was being used by Congress. Oh man, we went to go to the budget meeting, and god damn, the stench of booze was crippling. I can imagine. There's a reason for that. It was because of your lack of leadership. Now he runs a goddamn weed farm. I shit you not. He's got a cannabis dispensary to his name. Yeah, okay. What a principled conservative. Happens all the time. So ultimately, what we've got now is normalcy. It's just that people don't recognize it as normal because of the fact that they've been abnormal for so long a period of time. It's very, very strange when you think about it. That's about all. Peace out.